Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy Sunday. This is really beautiful. Thank you so much for accepting me. I know it wasn't necessarily an invitation. It was something that I felt drawn to do, or kind of jumped at this chance to be involved. And interesting enough that the topic is growth, because it was in somebody who I love very much who decided to step into their growth and speak for the very first time here at Unity. And I thought, well, he's going to do something for the very first time. So there was a little bit of competition in me. I was like, well, I'm also going to speak up here for the very first time. But this is also an opportunity for me to expand my own growth. Because like Tina indicated, I often work with children and youth. I don't spend a lot of time guiding adults, but I would like to. I would like to move into that, because as I move into my wisdom years, I find I have less patience for children and youth sometimes. So I am looking to step into doing this and hoping that that will continue to ripple out towards them as well, whether they are in your life because you have neighbors or because you have grandchildren or children of your own, that certain things that I can help to guide people on would continue to stream down to them. So today I am in front of you here because I know that taking action ensures my growth, which I think is a great way to look at this topic of nurturing growth, because the very topic that I agreed to support at Unity stretched my own mindset about who am I? Who am I to stand up here and speak about this topic? What are my credentials to be able to say something on growth? Why am I even doing this? And the mind is such a funny thing in so many ways, because it can take us down a rabbit hole that we didn't even know existed. And maybe part of that mindset isn't even ours. Maybe it came from something we heard as a young child. Maybe it came from our ancestors that has been imprinted in our body, and we need to recognize that. And so the topic of pruning is this opportunity for us to try to let go or remove things that no longer support a growth mindset. But what I have found is that pruning can have action to it by doing something, but it can also be by having opportunities to grow in other ways and replace those things in our mind that might cause us to question who we are or why we do the things that we do. So it hit me like a cosmic 2x4 that this is exactly the topic that I'm supposed to talk about. And I know about a month ago, Tina, when you had that same moment, you're like, oh no, not me, not me. But here I am. So the opportunity for nurturing our growth, I want to share my gratitude to all of you who are here in kindness and love and respect for me stepping into my growth. Because it is through my ways of thinking that in my mindset that I can create the experiences in my life. And there's a quote out there that I'm sure some of you have heard by Henry Ford that says, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you are right. So how do we encourage ourselves with this idea of growth mindset? So I want you to close your eyes for a moment and think about yourself, perhaps, or maybe somebody that you love that might operate from a fixed mindset, which is what we would consider the opposite. And the fixed mindset can be defined as a belief that our intelligence, our talents, and our abilities are innate, static, and cannot be changed. So I want you to think about if you have a fixed mindset or you know of someone who might. Now that I have asked that question, I'm going to try to weave in some of the pieces of nature that I find that are very supportive in my life to help me with those fixed mindsets. So as you gently open your eyes and come back to the space, I'm going to invite you to come up to this little table that I have set up here that is full of nature. It has flowers, it has rocks, it has feathers, there are crystals, there are shells. So I'm going to give a few moments for each of you to come up and choose a token item that calls to you and to have it for the remainder of this talk. So there's no need to rush, but please feel free to come up. Anything that speaks to you, you can pull the roses right out of the water. There's leaves there, anything that speaks to you, if you wouldn't mind coming up to come and grab a piece of nature to sit with. Oh, thank you. Oh, are you? No, you can use it. Anything up there. And not one piece will speak to each of us for whatever reason, whether we remember it as a child climbing trees or being in the ocean, or maybe we also pick up feathers on our walks. We're connected to the birds. Maybe we're a gardener. Every piece of nature will speak differently to each of us, as we are each individual and unique. That's my most recent one. Yeah. Sea eagle. Yeah. So many times when I'm out in nature with our young ones, I find myself with an opportunity to help them engage with nature in ways that maybe they haven't before and been given permission space. There is unfortunately a lot of shame that goes along with being human in this world and all that we have done to hurt her, all that we have done to extract from her. And while this may be true, when we think about how our children engage with nature, we need to find a way to prune that away from them in their creativity and their curiosity, because they are the ambassadors of this earth and they will continue on. And the things that we instill in them may not be seen in this generation, but we have to help them remember that they are stewards of this land and connected to this land. And yes, there's been atrocities, but let's help them to focus on the play or the connection or what makes us feel most alive. So, nurturing a growth mindset, it takes our effort and our action. It's not just in thinking positively or using affirmations, but we must engage with our brain in a way that also encourages neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is defined as the brain's remarkable, lifelong ability to reorganize itself by forming, modifying, strengthening our neural connections. It is in response to learning something new or having new experiences, being in environmental changes. Even if we experience an injury, this can help us with neuroplasticity. Our brain is not hardwired. And that's another reason that I love to engage with nature, because it causes us to be curious and see that things are different. And in nature, it supports one another. There's no right or wrong way for nature to grow. It just does. It continues to support itself and also to support one another. So, neurons that fire together wire together. So when we practice a new skill or we engage in new thoughts or expose ourselves to new environments, we build, we strengthen, and we prune away which is not usable. Growth can be in titration. Titration is the opportunity to go into a space that doesn't feel comfortable. It's new in that growth zone. And then we come back to safety where we do feel safe. And so engaging with nature in some ways that is new or expansive can feel a little bit scary. Wherever we go, if we decide to hike a mountain that we never have, or the kids decide to climb a tree that they never have. So I find that when I work with children and youth, that working there in nature helps them to have a growth mindset. Now, as I prepared this conversation, I came to recognize that we have to celebrate the power of yet. This idea that we don't have to have it all figured out, that there is no goalpost necessarily to get to. And the more I dove into the power of yet, which celebrates effort, progress, and surrendering to the process, I came to recognize that's what faith is. That's what faith is recognizing that we can have faith in our potential, a belief in the process, and trust in the journey and our higher process. And I do believe that right now, some of our children and youth are missing that opportunity to have faith in themselves, faith in the process. And so I want you to understand that being in this community here for me and increasing my faith in what is outside of me, inside of me, has allowed me to recognize that in our children. Faith and growth mindset are both rooted in the conviction that we are not stuck or hardwired with who we are today. So now, while you have this piece of nature in your hand, whichever you chose, I'd like you to take a look at it. See the details, the lines. How might you become more curious about these pieces of nature that are in you, that are of you, that are of all of us? And ask yourself, in which ways are you participating in a growth mindset or faith in your life? And how does this nature reflect that back to you? And so part of the reason that I wanted to not only involve nature, but this aspect of play is because I do see there being a need for us to maybe increase as adults the amount of play and silly that we offer the world, because we have a very serious epidemic out there with our young people in particular. They know too much. They see too much. They are overly worried about the life that they are living because they have so much knowledge, which can be wonderful, of course, in so many ways, but it puts a weight on their shoulders that we probably didn't feel at that age. And so the more that we can play as adults and guides and elders in their lives, it gives them permission to do the same, to prune away some of that fixed mindset and step into faith and into a growth mindset that I can be or try or do whatever it is that I would like, that I have people behind me. I have the faith to know I am not in this alone. So seriousness, it awakens our senses. We awaken our senses by letting go of seriousness. Seriousness can be a symptom of forgetfulness. This whole show can be spontaneous. We can play and have such a great time. So when we take life too seriously, we actually shrink our universe down into this kind of personal drama, or this mind that becomes an echo chamber of what I started with. What am I doing here? What should I do with my life? What if I fail? All of these pieces. And all the while, if we take a reflection from nature, the trees grow without asking permission. The rivers flow without consulting a plan, and the stars burn joyfully with no one to impress. So if we all continue to lean into this idea of faith and a growth mindset, hopefully we can continue to be examples for our young people and our children in this world. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here and allowing me to grow into my comfort zone here up in the front and allowing me to share some of my wisdom that I've learned. And I hope that something landed for you today. And I appreciate all of the support and the kindness and the love that comes from this community.